Yes, hello and welcome folks. It's Chris here from the Ministry of Dice and I'm back today with another one of my and now for something completely different videos. And what I'm going to talk to you about today, as you can see on the screen there, is Hearthstone. I suspect many of you out there, many of you Dice Masters fans out there in these quarantine times are looking for time fillers just as I've been looking for to entertain yourself, and sometimes some of the stuff I like to do is a bit difficult when I've got the kids around because I'm on daddy daycare duty at the moment with my tremendous wife working in the health service and being on shift every day. And so iPad games are a handy little way of me being able to fit in a quick game here and there when I take a brew break or the kids are having a snack. And so I've gone back to Hearthstone. I started playing it some time ago, but I never really invested in it a great deal. So if you're out there looking for a quarantine time filler, then I'm going to let you know about the deck I've been playing lately, and I'm going to show you a little bit of my Hearthstone gameplay. It will be of particular interest if you are out there keen to see how a mediocre Hearthstone player gets to a mediocre rank with a mediocre team. And with that said, let's crack on, shall we? So I've been playing around with Murlocs. I don't know why. There's just something about this idea of a wide weenie field that appeals to me. And the name of the game with the deck is to get myself loads of Murlocs out and then pump them up with all the kind of stat bonus cards that are available in their kind of play space. And I'm using the Shaman character, or Shaman character? Shaman? He's good. Uh-oh! That was Shaman, so I'm going to go with Shaman. Yeah, so I'm playing the Shaman character because you've got all these kind of stat bumpy characters that exist, and he's got probably the larger concentration of what I believe to be the better Murlocs available. This team has taken me in the last couple of weeks over the top of my 500 game wins with the Shaman, as well as getting me to the middle of the kind of gold rankings, so kind of dead center really there in the ranking setup. But it's super fun to play, so you should absolutely give it a go. Let me show you some of the cards that I've been using. So the first thing is a bit of drawing power. You need to get all your loads of Murlocs together. One thing that happens with this deck all the time is that you end up blasting your hand very, very quickly, and then into the mid and late game, while your opponent's got a big hand of high cost, high stat crazy stuff to pull out the bag. You've got nothing going on. You're just waiting to draw something exceptional. So this guy is super handy to get you up and running, get your hands on the Murlocs that you want to get your wide field together, and to move quicker in terms of getting that early hit. But that might not necessarily just be enough, so I've also thrown in the Mana Tide Totem to allow me to get a bit of extra drawing power together. This also allows me to draw through the deck so I can get my hands not just on the Murlocs that I'm after, but also put me in a position to get my hand on some of the useful spells that I've got, and there's one in particular that I like to rely on very heavily. Then it's into the kind of the speed of it. It's a weenie deck. It's aggro. You need to get your little fellas in the field, bumped up and across the table doing damage ASAP. So the next card on the list that I rely on very heavily is this, the Murloc Tidecaller. In fact, I'll mulligan quite often to try and draw one of these first turn. One cost dude, get him out in the field, but then as you can see, when you summon a Murloc, he gains +1 attack. So if he can be your first Murloc on the field, and you can keep him protected, which is something I'll talk about in a minute, every time you're putting a Murloc out, subsequent to him, and all my characters are Murlocs in the deck, then he'll just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So turn 2, I can be doing 2-point hit. Turn 3, then I'll probably get him up to a 4 attack. Then turn 4, I can get him up to a 5 or 6 attack, and so on and so forth. It just accrues and gets out of hand. He's not the only example of using stat bumps to make these weenies bigger, though. This is the spell I was talking about that I like to rely on very heavily, Bloodlust. 5 cost, and it gives all your minions +3 attack this turn. So it's just super nice once I've got my wide field, suddenly to slap that one out, do a bit of a gotcha moment on my opponent, and make everything even bigger and scarier, and often go for the one-turn kill, which Dice Masters fans watching this video will know that's not my usual style, so I'm playing around in a outside of my comfort zone here. Here we've got the Felfin Navigator, pretty straightforward. When he's fielded, he gives all my other Murlocs +1/+1, so he's another nice way of starting to bump the stats up. Adding to their defense is super useful as well, to make them a bit stronger because they've got weenie-ass defenses and they can die very quickly. We've then got the Murloc War Leader to give him +2 attack. You can see the theme generating here. And then for a bit of control, what I've got is the Hench Clan Hogsteed. You drop it out, it's got Rush, but then when it dies, it gets you a 1/1 Murloc, so it's really handy early game just to clear out any pesty weenies that my opponents put out in the field, but also help me keep my own wide field together for that stat bump attack. And then I've got things like this, the Earth Shock, which allows me to silence a minion and deal 1 damage to it. So it helps me out with early doors weenies, but also the silence effect is super handy, particularly with taunt. Big ass taunt characters that my opponents are dropping in the field and going, all right, then see what you can do with all your little murlocs. You'll have to use 3 of them to get rid of me. Or will I? Boom, get rid of that taunt. I'm going straight through to you and hitting you for 10. You know, that kind of thing. Another bit of removal I like to use is the Tox Fin. He gives another Murloc poisonous, so if I've got a little scrub or 1-1 hanging around, drop him out, give it poisonous, just throw that into the big character or the taunt character, get that out of the way so the rest can go steaming on through. And then also to maintain my wide field, another little tricksy janky thing I like to do is drop this, the Soul of the Murloc. Again, it's really cheap, 2 cost. Gives all my minions Death Rattle, summon a 1-1 Murloc. So if I'm feeling like I'm going to get blasted by, you know, like those secrets that do a board clear all of a sudden, drop that out, attack with a Murloc, trigger the secret, get it out of my hair, kill everything, but I'll backfill that wide field. They're not as strong maybe as what I've just lost, but with maybe a Bloodlust in my hand, I can set myself up for another attack. So there you go. Just that's not the entire deck, obviously. That's just some of the key highlights. But would you like to see some of the gameplay with this deck and how it goes? So here we've got a match that I played a couple of days ago while I was having a bite to eat for lunch. I can't remember whether this is the win or the loss that I've prepped. I've got 2 games to show you. But you can see here some examples of those cards. That Cold Light Seer is quite a nice one because he gives all my Murlocs a defense bump, which is super handy because, as I said before, they're all nice and weeny. I've done a big mulligan there. I'm obviously looking for the Murloc Tidecaller, who's my little 1-cost kind of starter for 10, or maybe one of my drawing power cards. Apologies for the video being a bit jumpy. So I've recorded it playing on my iPad, and it looks like the iPad recording comes out a little bit funny, but I'm sure you discerning viewers can look past that. So my opponent's, I've had to skip the first turn. I don't really want to drop that Toxfin out. I want to hold it back in my hand for a point where it's going to be more useful throughout the game, but this little 1-cost Mermy, definitely happy to put him out. He's a nice character to get early doors, because if he gets killed, he can come back and backfill with another 1-1 Murloc. So just starting light, starting gentle. I have got a fairly decent hand there, but it's not got me out the gate quite as quick as I would have liked. Okay, so here's a great example coming up of the kind of removal method that I use this Hogsteed for. So drop it out, use the rush to go and kill that. So their field is empty, mine's still full. I get backfilled with another Murloc with that cute little artwork there, and my Mermy's ready to go in and get an early bit of damage. And these little early chips with this Murloc team can really make the difference between a win or a loss. So let's see what my opponent's got for me here. Why would you kill the sweet little cute one? I know why he's killed the sweet little cute one, because the other one will just come back anyway. But still, that's a poor cute little Murloc getting bullied around there. Right, I'm having a good think here about what I want to do. So I'm going to use this Scargill. He's great. He makes all my Murlocs cost 1. So he's a lovely one to kind of drop in the field when I've got a bit of spending power. I've obviously elected to drop him out there now so that I can use this dude who gives me 2 characters to widen up my field and set myself up for success. I'm thinking if my opponent comes back at me with something and starts to kill some of my Murlocs, maybe I'll get through the turn with 1 or 2 left in the field to use for a big attack. Oh, that owl's nice. Nice, cheap silence effect. He's also managed to complete his cheeky little mission thing there. But I managed to get through the turn with 4 of my Murlocs still sitting tight there. So let's drop the Navigator out, give everyone a nice little boost. And as you can see, I'm all set and ready there to do a 12-point hit. So a good third of my opponent's life taken off in 1 swing, which I think is super nice, and that's going to set me up for success. So when my Bloodlust comes, or when some of my other stat bumps come, I'm not going to need such a wide field. If he starts picking away at my characters with 5/5 rush monsters, as we can see going on the screen there now, I don't need quite as wide a field to drive my own damage through. Okay, here we go. Here's my Bloodlust. There's probably going to be a bit of a pause here. Imagine Chris sat with his iPad on his knee, eating his crumpets, drinking his tea, counting off the damage. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, I'm 3 short, so I'm processing. What can I do here? How can I do something about that? So obviously that guy needs to go. Do I drop my Earth Shock on it? I can't remember what my decision process was there. No, I'm going to try and come back stronger next turn and take care of it. So let's backfill that space. I think I was hoping... these totems are sometimes good for a little punt for 2, because you might get, for example, the Force Blocker. Not the Force Blocker, the little weenie Taunter, which can be handy. There we are. I decided to go for the Death Rattle spell there that gives me backfills my Murloc. So I've got a wide field. I'm still very highly at risk there. I've not managed to bump up the stats of my characters, so I'm still highly at risk from some of these wide board clear spells. One thing I'm not, because of I played the game very very early doors when it came out, and then just sat on my iPad for ages, and I've kind of re-engaged with it now as I say, as my quarantine time filler. Here we go. Boom. No messing around. I'm just going to drop the Bloodlust and steam over for the killer blow. So that's a perfect example of that team working almost exactly as it should do. So what was I saying there before I got all distracted by that Bloodlust play? Yeah, I played it early doors when it first came out, and then it just sat on my iPad, and I've obviously re-engaged with it as a quarantine time filler, as I said in the intro there. So I'm not as familiar with some of the other character archetypes and what cards they might have, although I'm becoming increasingly familiar. Right, so that's obviously the win. That's the victory example there. Let's move on, and I'll now show you my loss example. So I'm playing a new Demon Hunter here. Now, this is a great example. So the Demon Hunter is very aggro. What I'm finding and what you'll see in this game is that the Demon Hunter can get low-cost, reasonably good statted characters out in the field almost as quick, if not quicker than me, and certainly can do 2 points of damage to little fellas like my Murloc Tidecaller there, and get them out the field early doors. So I struggle to build the field up ready for my stat bumpy plays. I mean, I've got a Bloodlust in my hand there, so I'm like, oh sweet, I didn't really want it in my first hand, but at least it's there and I can sit on it and work on my field. So now my Tidecaller's at risk. I haven't got a way of bumping his stats up. Obviously, I identified that little outcast dude was a risk because he had 2 attack and he could take my Tidecaller out in one fell swing. But there we go. Look, see, you can get himself 2 attack. He'll do that trade-off and take 2 damage now rather than letting him get big and nasty and come back out later. Oh, fortunately, I draw another one. Spoiler alert: it's not going to make a difference. But also, I haven't got any of my other low-cost Murlocs to be dropping out. So that mulligan really, obviously the matchup is an issue for me here, and the initial draw, because I'm kind of waiting and chasing. As I said earlier on, this is a problem I face all the time. I end up blasting my hand, or I'm waiting for things to come up, but I haven't got my hands on any of my drawing power here either. So my Underbelly Angler hasn't come through, my Mana Tide Totem hasn't come through to help me increase my drawing power, nor has my Fish Flinger come along, who helps me get a little cheeky boost too. So I'm on the back foot all the time. He's now managed to get this character out. My Tidecallers are gone. That's both of the Tidecallers in my deck, dead and gone. I haven't got a Murloc in the field to drop my Toxfin on to give it poisonous, and I'm not sure I would, ideally at this moment in time. I've got no other Murlocs in the field to take advantage of the War Leader's stat bump. I haven't really got a wide enough field to do any particularly scary damage with the Bloodlust. I'm on the back foot here, and this big pause, my opponent's just kind of thinking it through. I just need to get out that Taunter out the way and come and hit him for 4. So I'm you grow impatient, mate. Just kill me already. You've definitely got the upper hand. So I'm just really kind of trying to figure it out. I'm waiting and relying on what I draw here to try and set myself up for success, which is not a great situation. This Demon Hunter's ability to get their attack up to sort of 2 or 3 very quickly with spells and weapons of that nature is pretty frightening too. Look at that, 4/4 rush. Boom. It's horrifying, really. So the Demon Hunter's really been a problem for me. And obviously, with my big sabbatical away from the game, I'm not sure quite what it was like before he arrived. I just kind of got back into the game just as he came along. So I've got a Murloc out that I can make poisonous with my Toxfin, but I don't want to do that right now. He's probably, if I remember rightly, but were I in issues, I'd probably use one of those. I'd probably just get 8 damage across the board and not worry about that Mermy. I think it's a reasonable trade to take 1 damage there. Let me kill one of his in my turn rather than him throw. Oh, he had a solution for me. Anyway, look at that. Sent me poor Mermy to sleep. I've had a quick peek there. What's that all about? Oh, man. Yeah, so I'm eating my crumpet, drinking my tea. Oh, no, this is in the morning. So this was 10 past 10 over the weekend. This is... well, let's face facts. I was either having a morning cup of tea or I'm playing this while I... Let's just cut through it. We all know that's the case. So a couple of fish fingers there. They help me out because they give me a bit of that drawing power and get some murlocs into my hand. But obviously it comes at a disadvantage because it gives murlocs to my opponents. A number of teams, that's not a great issue for me. But for a demon hunter who's got me on the back foot, giving him 2 characters in his hand that are probably cheap and he can get out is not the best idea. Look at this. It's all over. It's all over. I've got a nice wide field, but I'm not going to live long enough. Yeah, look at this. 4 damage with that. Done. Dead. Oh, dear. What are you going to do, eh? What are you going to do? So, there we go. Defeat. There's my little Murloc team. I hope you enjoyed that. So, there we are then, folks. If, like me, you're looking for other quarantine time fillers, and it's not quite always convenient to get your playmat out and get your camera out and have an uninterrupted game of Dice Masters, I've been having a lot of fun playing around with Hearthstone over these last couple of weeks. As I say, very convenient to grab a quick game while you're making your lunch, having a coffee break, eating your lunch, you know, when you've got a quiet few minutes. And it's certainly a lot more convenient to play on things like your iPad when there's not much going around. There's an example of a mid-range team that you might want to have a little play around with, because even though it's not an absolute championship winner, I still think it's awesome fun to play. And if, like me, you're a control player ordinarily and you play your Dice Masters a certain way, maybe having a go at a little weenie aggro team like the Murlocs there is a nice way to take yourself outside your comfort zone and experiment in different spaces. So I'll wrap that one up there. I've probably gone on far too long. I doubt many of you carried on with me this far. But there we go. There's Hearthstone. Another MOD recommendation under the and now for something completely different. On the right-hand side of the screen now, you'll see a couple of boxes pop up. Those are a couple of videos that the YouTube doobly-doo algorithm thingamabobby thinks that you might like to take a look at. So please do go take a look at them. And if you've got a moment before you do, I'd really, really appreciate and love you a great deal if you would hit the subscribe button. In fact, if you do hit the subscribe button, let me know, and I'll make arrangements for Andy to come around to your house and do a special favour. No, not like that, filthy. I meant like wash your car or something.